Today we're going to be talking about our denture offering, something we're super excited to go over. We will have some time at the end to answer any questions you may have. So please feel free to, send them through the chat and let us know if you have any other questions along the way, and we'd be happy to go through that. So I'll go ahead and get started. Um, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Cole Bishop. I've been with 3shape now for a little over 6 years. I'm the global head of our operations and design quality. So I work very closely with both teams, both design centers in Asia and in Costa Rica, to both build new indications and also, in charge of helping our team get trained up on different indications, cross training, and everything like that. We also have Linda here, so I'll kind of let her introduce herself and we'll go ahead and get started.
Hi, I'm Linda Baird. I'm the denture specialist here at 3shape. I've been here almost 2 years, and I have a degree and went to school in dental technology and tourism. I work hand in hand with our design team, teaching our designers about fundamental technical skills for great designs. And then I also work with our clinicians and our laboratories to make sure that we get them aligned and exactly what designs that they need, including materials as well. So, and I work for Cole.
Awesome. Thanks, Linda. All right. Just to give a little background of 3shape Design Services, some of you that may not be aware. So we do support both of our design platforms. So we've got our 3shape design side of things where we do pretty much anything and everything inside of 3shape, anything from simple copings, crown and bridge, all on X, smile design, abutments. We also have a clear aligner offering. We're in the removable space, guided surgery. So pretty much anything and everything that's inside of 3shape, we have a design offering for. We also support the AI side. So some of you may be familiar with 3shape Automate. That's another area that we've seen some significant growth. So if you haven't tried it, or if you tried it, let's say a year or two ago, highly encourage you guys to check it out. Look at the new indications on there. There's been a lot of enhancements and updates. So just like with anything technological based, things move really fast. So highly encourage you to check it out. A little bit more about the business. So we've been in business now for a little over 15 years. And if in those 15 years, we've done over 13 million cases. And we have roughly 200 designers between both design centers. Some of the benefits that you can find with using design services, it gives you the ability to add capacity to your lab. So as you guys all know, it's a very difficult time right now to hire skilled technicians. And when you're trying to, scale your business and grow and bring on more clients, that can sometimes be a bottleneck when you're really looking for those technicians. So we wanted to create a solution for our partners to where they can, outsource. We work with a lot of people that may outsource the majority of their work, but they also may have a design team in-house where, if they have an influx in volume, they can use that to shift over to design services. And again, anything you can think of inside of 3shape, we can manage for that. It also gives you the ability to have a nice, clean, efficient workflow. We are integrated within the software. So it gives you the ability to, as soon as you scan a case, you can simply use the 3shape design services button. You can send directly to our platform, order whatever you're looking for as far as expectations, depending on that indication. And then once it's done, you have the opportunity to review that and then bring it back into your 3shape, just as though someone in-house designed that. So it makes it really nice because it actually adds as kind of like an extension to your lab. And our ultimate goal is to, almost like be one of your employees in-house, make it as easy as possible. 3shape also gives you the ability to add new indications. So for example, if you're more so crown and bridge lab and you want to look at maybe getting into the removable space and learn and understand more about dentures, we really help you start that journey. We can set up a time with our denture specialist, with Linda, or our team leads to kind of walk you through that process of what it looks like and get you onboarded, and also provide some basic training on how, scan quality data, setting up orders, materials, manufacturing, something we're super happy to walk you through that process. A little bit about our team. So each one of our team, we have specialized teams depending on the indication. And then within those teams, we have a team lead that's kind of the expert in that area. So if we look at our Crown and Bridge team, for example, we have a team leader or several team leaders that lead a group of designers under them. And they're responsible for training them, getting them up to speed. If there's any areas where we need to apply more different training aspects, they handle that. They also handle, case flow depending on the level of experience, and then they're reviewing the cases prior to them going back. So it really helps us to, make sure we're meeting expectations. We have a few different CDTs on board as well, so we're constantly, helping our team and bringing them up to speed on all the latest for that. Our customer support, so we want to be as open as possible to you for any questions. So we are a global business, so we support multiple different languages, English, French, German, Spanish. We have our online chat available as well, and we're available through email. So if you ever need to get a hold of us, you can call in, use our chat feature. Obviously, email is very easy too, and we're always happy to set up a time and walk you through any questions you may have. Just to talk a little bit about our numbers. So I pulled some details from 2024 and we did roughly 1.24 million units. And of those units, we did about 8,000 digital dentures for 2024. And one of the things that's been super exciting to see is we've had a huge increase, which I'm sure some of you also experienced this in digital dentures over the last couple of years. So in 2024, we went up by 30% in volume for digital dentures. And then just this year, we've already surpassed that 8,000 mark. So it's definitely a growing indication. I think the market timing is perfect right now if it's an area that you're looking to get into, or if you're already inside of dentures, I'm sure you're already starting to see, that volume continue to increase. One of the things that's been super exciting for me to see with throughout my journey and my career in the dental space is, as things start to digitize and we start to see things grow, like manufacturing is improving, materials are getting better, all kinds of things are really starting to pick up and move in the digital direction, which is just making our lives easier. And it also is, constantly evolving. So for us on our end, it's really important to make sure we're staying on top of that technology. And that's one thing that I'm always, super passionate about to push that onto our team, make sure that they fully understand all the latest and greatest technologies. Just some details on the overall growth that we see in the market. So I pulled some data online, and you can see the denture market is wide open. I mean, it continues to grow year over year. We're also starting to see a similar trend in the removable partials area. So that's another area where digital is really taking off. And if you look at this chart on the right, this just kind of gives you a basic overview of the type of growth we're seeing in the digital space from 2021 through 2024. So year over year, we're seeing huge increases. And honestly, I don't see this going anywhere else but up. We continue to just see this grow and grow month over month. So it's a super exciting time to be involved in this space. And as you know, it's also very difficult, as I mentioned before, to find experienced technicians. The analog world is starting to age out, and we're starting to get a lot of technicians that are retiring. So it's a perfect time to jump on the digital side of things and really start pushing towards that direction. I'm going to get into some details on our current offerings, and I'll also share a little bit of history of why we've kind of separated our denture offering into multiple indications. When we very first launched dentures, this would have been probably about 4 or 5 years ago. It was still relatively in its infancy for the software. So as you know, with time, things start to improve. And in the beginning, we just had what was called our denture offering. So we had several different labs and partners sending us cases where we would do our best to align with their expectations around however they were manufacturing it, what materials they were using. We even had a short period of time where we were doing the half analog, half digital. Some of you might be familiar with the whole carded workflow in dentures, which was quite the challenge. But over the years, we've slowly evolved that. We've gotten to a point where we can no longer just have an all-in denture offering. So we decided to split it out into different indications. So as you can see here, we have our standard denture, copy denture, partial denture, iVotion, Dentsply Sirona, and then also our Stratasys offering. And what this did was it gave us the ability to really kind of hone in on the different areas of manufacturing and preferences. That way, when you're utilizing design services, you have the opportunity to select this indication based on your denture needs. So you can then from that point drill down and customize within that area. So for example, if you're sending an iVotion denture, when you drag and drop that or send it through the dental system button onto our platform, you'll notice that all the different design guide codes and preferences that we have available for you are specific to iVotion. So that's really helped us simplify the whole workflow. And it also gave us the opportunity to kind of handhold some of the newer labs that are moving from analog to digital and kind of understand the needs of what's necessary to be successful on both parties. So I'm going to go ahead and send this over to Linda and have her kind of touch on each one of these indications.
Ah, so our standard denture is kind of the go-to indication for most of our laboratories. It is designed with a flexible or customized every step with our design guide codes, but it has a universal FCDC material, which is adaptable to most of our laboratories and their material type. In this area, we can also do monoblocks, we can do printing, milling, as well as provide you with any individual characterizations or design indications that you're wanting for the actual denture itself. We can also do partial dentures for acrylics in this indication. Our designers that are designed the standard are about 5 years of experience per technician. Their team lead is a CDT specialist, and all of these cases go through full quality control. That is, they look at border analysis to make sure that they have function and they have proper occlusion, and all of the aesthetics are evaluated before the case has ever gone out. So you will receive a load of QC photos, which we will see in just a few minutes. But when you send a design to us, it comes back to you within 24 hours. iVotion is our next one, and it highlights for Ivoclar their dual puck, their dual colored pucks. And the great thing about this is that we have our designers who design the case with these designed ribbons that will give a indication for where the puck is so that it is milled in one piece, which it is fabulous for our manufacturing because the simultaneous milling, there's no bonding or assembly. It's very strong, it's aesthetic, and it's durable, and it's all solid PMMA materials. Our True Dent by Stratasys is one of the newest ones on the ground. It is basically really groundbreaking advancements in the digital denture fabrication. It's a simultaneous 3D printing of all of the materials so that the denture base and the teeth are printed simultaneously. There's also no assembly that's required. And the great thing about this is that it doesn't require any bridging between the teeth. So you have a greater enhanced aesthetics, especially in the anteriors. I think that this is going to see some global expansion over the next couple of years, especially as their materials and system develops. We also have Dentsply Sirona, which is it's one of our oldest and mainstay companies that's been around with their Lucitone materials, as well as their highly used portrait teeth. And we provide not only the HC portraits and the which is the high contour, but also the regular. We have design guide codes, and each tooth indication in it and each tooth number in the library actually has a different image. So you can do tooth identification very quickly to make sure that you are actually ordering the exact tooth model that you are looking for. Um, uh, that indication also requires a license through Dent Supply. So just make sure that when you place your orders through Dentures, Dent Supply Sorona, that you do have a license through them uh, to manufacture. Our flexible department is probably the fastest growing as our demand for our patients increases, wanting to have more lightweight options and our flexible productivity has definitely increased for not only acrylics, but also flexibles such as Duraflex and acetyl resins. They can either be milled or printed, and we do a wide range of designs like one-tooth Nesbits, flippers, even gasket dentures. And we are now starting to do the acrylic saddles over metal RPD frames. So we're going to be seeing a lot more in our partial denture indication for in all the different types of categories. The key, when we design in for a partial, the great thing is that when you choose if it's going to be an acrylic, flexible, or acetyl resin, it automatically triggers for our designers to know exactly what code that they're going to use and what kind of clasp designs that are going to be done. So we have quite a few indications for each different types of designs, as well as how we are designing the clasps. So you will get not just a partial that doesn't have the correct clasps or doesn't understand the correct undercuts or how to do the um, wax relief. We have trained everybody to know the differences in the material type as well as their design type. Copy dentures, they are so much fun. They are such a blessing. You have a patient that comes in that either has a crack in their denture or they just need a duplicate because they're scared they're going to be losing, they're going on a trip. They want to make sure they have a backup. Or you have a patient that just needs my minor reline with a light body wash in it. Copy denture or duplicate denture is a perfect indication. We just do the wash impression, scan it, send it in. We design it exactly like the original denture. Unfortunately, we cannot add or repair any teeth, and it's not available for partial dentures. The occlusion can't be changed either, but the great thing is that the patient receives a duplicate of their original denture back, and it fits just the same. There's no fit issue. So copy denture is a great way to help in that vast area that we are growing into to making sure our patients get are their secondary backups. Sending a case into design services is very simple to do.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll kind of touch on this a little bit, Linda. So one of the things, obviously, we wanted to make it super easy for our customers to interact with our platform. So I've got a short little video clip here that demonstrates what that looks like today. So we do request for you to have a complete 3shape order. And the reason why that's important is because that gives us the ability to read that XML file. Once it lands on our platform, we know that it auto parses as a denture with your materials, your manufacturing. um, to give us the ability to apply all of that information during design. We do have the ability to set up orders for you, and we'll touch a little bit on that later, but I'm going to kind of just walk you through a short video of drag and drop. So you'll notice here under design type, we'll go down and we'll just select a partial denture here. Each one of our indications has its own specific design guide library. So you'll notice everything in here is related to a partial denture. So you have things like, midline placement, your T-bars, if you're adding those, your denture-based tagging, whether or not if we need to repair the model, any changes or any areas in which you want to customize that, your libraries, for example, block out, material type, all of this information is super critical for us because this is really what gives our designers the ability to know what type of denture we're going to be designing so that we can align with those expectations. Once those have been selected, you can see here all the different codes that have been selected, and that gets sent to our team. And when it lands on the platform, they're able to see all those codes you selected. So another example here is if I go into a standard denture. So then you'll notice here, very similar workflow, but different code layout based on that specific indication. So each one of our design indications will have its own separate area of design guide codes, and it just makes it easier to navigate through the platform. That way you're focusing on just what you're sending. The nice thing about this too is you do have the ability to set defaults. So if you have, a number of doctors or your lab style is pretty similar across the board, you can actually come in here and select defaults based on your lab. That way, every case you send will automatically have those applied. So it makes it really easy to where you don't have to do that on every case. You can also even go in and set up different profiles. So if you have a couple different technicians that have their own styles, you can create a name for, let's say, technician A, and they can set their own standards, or you can break it down by different clinics that you'd be working for. So clinic A, clinic B, they may have a little bit of a different preference on libraries they want to use or their extraction process digitally. So there's a lot of different things you can do in there to customize. And this is an area where we'd be more than happy to walk you through and kind of get you up to speed on how that works. But the most important thing is really taking the time to understand that process because that's really what, helps us be successful. I do want to show a couple different examples here of two cases that were designed. This is the exact same denture, just different outcomes based on the design guide codes. So you can see here, exact same scan, same patient, a little bit of a different variation on the festooning, the different libraries being used. So this next image here shows just a variety of the codes that were selected. So for example, case A, we had anatomical set up for the posterior bite class. We went with a heavy festooning, and then they wanted the Phaneris library. Whereas case two, they went with a more lingualized occlusion with a soft festooning and with the vertex ovoid library. So just a couple different examples there of what that looks like based on what's been ordered. The nice thing about this too is it really helps with any type of terminology or language barriers. As I mentioned earlier, we are a global company, so we get different ways in which labs will communicate with us. And one of the challenges we faced early on was a lot of typed instructions. So we wanted to kind of remove that out of it so that it would be all clickable design guide codes so that our users had the ability to click those options and then that would transfer over to our design team. You do still have the ability to use typed instructions. And one thing I always like to say is if you find yourself having to type a certain instruction that's pretty similar on multiple cases where we don't have a design guide code for, we're always happy to include that design guide code. So we're constantly updating our design guides. I would say on an average week, we're probably adding 2 or 3 new codes depending on the indication. So it's something that we're building off of over time, and we're happy to accommodate for that. I'm going to turn it back over to Linda to talk a little bit more about the fundamentals here.
As everybody knows that in dentures, as our uh, denture technicians are growing older, I think the average age is about 65 now for an analog technician, which just amazes me. But our technical fundamentals is something that we have been losing because of our schools and technical availabilities of educational programs for dentures. It's something that we strive for in 3shape. And one of the design guide codes that I pulled out today, just to give you a quick overview of some of this, is called the 22.5-degree incline. Most people who have done some advanced denture work will probably understand that the first mandibular molar needs to be in the lowest portion of the ramus. That's where the curve of Wilson is. And a lot of times that patients with those arches and residual ridges reabsorb, you don't always can get all the denture teeth back in. So we need to either remove, say, the first premolar or second premolar, I'm sorry, or the on the first, second premolar or a second molar to be able to fit in all the teeth on the arch. And that's always a guessing game, figuring out where it's supposed to go. Well, the 22.5-degree incline is something that we can utilize and is a tool that is available for 3shape designers. And we are able to teach all of our design teams to make sure that they do model analysis to figure out where it's going to go to place that first molar in the proper position for good occlusion, as well as making sure that none of those teeth are set over the top of the retromolar pads or maxillary tuberosities. And so this is one code that is very functional for us and especially for our clients. Our current challenges in dentures today, um, you could go forward, Cole.
Yep.
Um, there's multiple ways of how to send our cases to us, um, and based on what your needs are, depends upon, as Cole said previously, what your manufacturing process is going to be. Is it going to be printed, milled? Do you have a specific uh, milling machine? Do you have a specific printer? What kind of files are you needing, such as STLs or CAM5s, 0.3 MF? Are you going to be doing acrylic flexibles or acetals, or are these going to be partials? So there's many different types and ways that you can send your cases. So submitting a case to us is very straightforward. There's a couple of ways we can do it. The first way is you can actually do it directly in your 3shape program, and you will create your 3shape order and design it, choosing which teeth you're going to be replacing, and then including which material type that you will be adding or using for your um, processing. And then you're going to upload that either directly, there's a button right there on your 3shape program. I think that it comes up next on this file. Or you can drag and drop the case into our 3shape portal. So there are two different ways that you can uh, provide us with all of the information that we need to get started on your first case. And we will step you through that. Oh, there it is. See, there's that standard denture right there. You can choose which one of the indications that you are wanting to place your denture into. Uh,
Yeah.
we
And
have
I'll
a
just
lot of,
just touch real
yeah.
quick on this, Linda, as it relates to materials. So if you're currently doing dentures in-house or you've already been set up to do dentures in-house, obviously we work with all different types of materials. But if it's an area where you're just kind of getting your feet wet, we have a DME that we use that's pretty standard. So it's called the FCDC denture DME, and we can send that to you to help you get started. And that's kind of what I consider as our starting point is sending it through standard denture. So as Linda mentioned, very easy, create your order, submit it through either the button or drag and drop, and then we can, take it from there. We do also have the ability to create the order for you. So Linda, I'll let you kind of touch on this as well.
Yes, we can create the order for you if you're needing to. We can do it either in standard denture or a copy denture. We can't do it for partials or any of the other indications, but that'll get you started off and then, where you can actually get going, which is a great thing to do. You can also design your cases and in your laboratory program, and then instead of delivering them directly, you can drag and drop them with a compressed zip file directly onto our portal. And so there are basically three ways that you can get started with sending cases directly to us.
Perfect.
Um, so what do we need for our cases? First off, we're going to need to have an upper and a lower model with your bite registration. The case needs to be um, already oriented. The there's different types of scans that we can have. We can do a iOS scan, which is under the digital impression. A tray or your functional impressions can go in here. Also, we can take scanned models that are poured up. We just need to know which ones you're working with and to make sure that we have the three things, upper, lower, and a bite registration.
Awesome. And yeah, I'll just add to this. This is an area that's super important. And one of the things that, we really want to try and make sure we're set up for success is once that case lands on our platform, our team will do in-depth pre-QC of the case, make sure we have all the records necessary for the denture to be designed. And if there's any questions on our end where we may have, an area where we're missing a border or the scans aren't aligned or whatever the case is, we will reach out to you and kind of talk you through that process, and then we can assess, what the next steps are in order to get that case sent through.
The great
Um,
thing is we have a really wonderful trained customer service group, and they can step you through on your first, second, third case, depending upon how many times it takes to get it to go through correctly. And we will help you. And I also teach a class called, I for takes about 20 to 30 minutes, and I help some of our team to figure out which design guide codes that they are needing for our independent either clinicians or laboratories. That helps them get aligned and figure out exactly how to do everything.
Perfect. I'm going to walk through a quick little video of what it looks like after the case is completed. So we want to try to provide all the information possible. So you'll notice here, once the case is ready, when you have a profile, you'll click on that file, and it's going to give you a series of screenshot images where you can click through and kind of see different steps that our design team has provided to show you the steps they took to design the denture. In addition to that, all of this information can be downloaded. So if for whatever reason you want to download these, send them to your clinic, you have the ability to do so. We also provide all of the different STL files, depending on the manufacturing process in our platform, that are also downloadable. So you'll notice here, we have a monoblock, also just the base with teeth. So depending on how that order is set up, and once the CAM is generated, that's going to all travel into our platform. And in addition to that, there's also the complete 3shape file. So you can download that and bring it back into your system. This here is what I like to highlight as our redesign feature. So if there's, for whatever reason, anything that needs to be adjusted, there's an option on the top right that's redesign, and you can basically just click on that, and all of these categories will be based on specific to dentures. So everything that's in this will travel back to the designer, and they'll know exactly what needs to be managed there. It also gives us the ability to track metrics on our designers so that we can have a good understanding of, if there's any areas that we need to make improvements on, or if there's certain training topics we need to highlight. And then lastly, the way that we have our feedback feature set up is we have what's called negative feedback and neutral feedback. So depending on what you select in here, let's say, for example, you select, borderline short, that's going to count as a negative feedback. So then we know and understand and can track the overall metrics of that designer. But if it's a neutral feedback, let's say you want to just make a minor change, it doesn't negatively impact our designer, but it does give us the ability to have that conversation with you on areas where we can continue to improve and collaborate with you. All right, so just a couple insights on how 3shape Design Services can bring value to your lab. So it gives you the ability to reduce time spent on the bench. And also, we have all of our cases come back to you in 24 hours or less. Each one of our members on our design team in dentures is highly skilled, trained by both Linda, which is a denturist, and also our team lead, which is a CDT in dentures. It also provides consistency. So that's one thing that we really, really try to hone in on is making sure that every case you get back is on the same level of consistency. And that really goes back to the importance of making sure those defaults and design guide codes are selected because that gives us the ability to really understand what you're looking for. And it's fully customizable. You have many different options to, set defaults or set different profiles based on the clients you're working with or the technicians in your lab. Each case goes through a deep QC process. So before it even gets uploaded, we have our QC team look through, make sure everything is up to speed. We also provide the screenshot QC images to use as a communication tool. And then, as I mentioned earlier, each indication has the clickable design guide codes to simplify the overall instructions. Really our goal is to eliminate the need to type instructions and focus more on those design guide codes. And then we store your files as well. So if for whatever reason you have a denture that you need to, make some changes to a month out, or the patient loses their denture, we have that on file for you so we can simply just capture that for you. So it gives you the ability to add capacity when you're short-staffed and grow and scale your business without, falling behind in those areas when you're really starting to see volume pick up. Another huge area that I always like to touch on is our how we track our design quality. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier with the feedback feature. But as simply put, we have our option where it's a simple thumbs up and thumbs down. And within our platform, you can either just provide a as basic as this, or you can go in depth and select those categories. And there's also an area for free type. The reason why this is so important is because we really rely on this information to help, encourage our team to continue making efforts and improving. But it also helps to build a relationship between us and the lab that we're working for. A lot of the times we see a little bit of variations from lab to lab. So we want to make sure that we're accommodating from that from each lab perspective. This is just a quick little view of kind of how we track things. So if you look at our overall chart here, every single month we meet as a team to understand where the areas are that we're falling short. So if you look at the bottom percentage, the 1.45, 1.09, that's our negative redesign rate. So that's telling us any areas where we're falling short. You can look over on the right-hand side where it says negative options. That tells us which category was selected. So with this data, it also tags the designer so we know exactly any of the areas where Linda needs to, sit down with the team and focus on. So we're seeing some really, really good progress with our overall redesign rate dropping. The number you see above is what we consider our neutral redesign. So if, for example, you send a case and you're using Vertex library and you decide you actually want to change that to a different library, that would still be considered a redesign. But again, it doesn't negatively impact our design team, but it also gives us data into areas where maybe we can, work closer with you to better understand your overall needs. As of today, or as of 2024 numbers, I should say, our overall feedback from all indications, not just dentures, is we have about a 41% of our customers that are using our feedback feature. So we're doing our best to try to get that number up. We want to really get, obviously 100% would be amazing. The more feedback we can get from customers, the better, because that really helps us, improve what we're doing. But the numbers are growing every month, so it's really good to see that. So again, 41% of our customer base is actively using our feedback feature today. And if we look at that as a whole, roughly 1.3 million designs in 2024, we had a 6.1% total redesign rate. Now that includes both negative, positive, and neutral feedback. So again, going back to dentures as a whole, we're right around between 1.5% and 2%. But as a whole, between all feedback that we receive, negative, positive, and neutral, 6.1%. So you can kind of see what that looks like broken down into negative versus positive feedback. So again, yeah, this is something that we really, really try to focus on because the more information we can get here, the better we can, meet your expectations. So where do we have success and where do we fail? I pulled some numbers from 2024 to kind of show the different tiers of our customers. So this is really interesting to see. I always love sharing this. So if you look at our overall customer base, we have it broken down into different tiers. So starters are going to be your customers that are relatively new to us. And again, sometimes it's harder to get them to use the feedback feature. But if you look all the way down to tier 5, where we have of that tier 5 category of customer, we have 100% of them that are using feedback. But what's interesting here is you see from starter all the way to tier 5, that negative feedback rate drops as more customers are using the feedback feature. So again, that's why I really like to stress the importance of using our feedback feature, because it really helps us to improve and align with your expectations there. So super interesting to see that. And really, I mean, the more you invest in the relationship, the better the results we're going to get. I'm going to turn the time over to Linda to kind of touch on our QC process.
One of my favorite areas. I love QC. We when we do our QC, our designers are trained to take about 10 to 15 QC photos as they are progressing through their design. Not only will they give you the front sides, but also the occlusal areas. We do measurements, so you will know exactly what your vertical dimension is. So if we've had to open or close or you've told us to, we will exactly tell you exactly what it was that we did. The plane of occlusion, you will see the lines. We will also give you a 2D side view to make sure that you see what the overbite and overjet is. And sometimes people really appreciate having other areas measured. Now, we on there, you will also see down below that where we have the articulator. The articulator is used for grinding in our occlusion. So you will have each of your cases to have perfect occlusion with group function. We will have the information for which tooth library you have selected, as well as all the design guide codes that are listed. So this gives you a full review, as well as you could also see previously where Cole showed you, you can get a 3D preview as well of the case. You're going to also open this case up in your dental lab manager and review the case as if it was you had designed it. So any changes or anything that we need, we can visualize and see exactly what has done or what needed to be changed.
Right.
Denture design challenges, we all have them, whether it's analog or digital. So like insufficient iOS scans, it's just the same as if we have bad impressions. It comes forward. So as you all know, we have to have all of the anatomical landmarks and you have to have the real estate there to be able to create a functional denture. And this is just one example of where the scanner or clinician did not get all of the scanned area. And you can see we just simply cannot do a design off of it, same way as if it was analog. The iOS scanning has really, really improved in the last couple of years, especially with our Trio scanners. It just amazes me. But there's a couple things that happen, say, such as this. This particular scan includes all of the anatomical landmarks and everything else, except that it has 18,000 artifacts. And you're thinking, how in the world did that happen? And it's kind of a phenomenon of somebody in the office used a metallic retractor set, and that metal retractor actually bounces the light off and creates all these artifacts. The two cases on the right hand side used a non-metallic retractor up top, and you can see there was no artifacts whatsoever, and it created an absolutely incredible model for us to be able to work on. So I highly recommend using non-metallic retractors during your scanning with your iOS scanners. Here's another one, the bite registration. Perfect bite registration for this particular case. It just was not aligned properly in the digital world. So we would have to go back and get this particular case properly aligned. But this case on the left-hand side, even if we did not see the bite registration, probably would have been placed on hold just because it did not meet we do measurements between the ridges and we make sure that there is proper orientation on the upper and lower arches before we proceed through our pre-QC evaluations. These cases, what's two of them, you can see that these two cases don't have enough VDO. The one on the left actually has, if you look very carefully, that client is almost like a chiclets or something. They are completely interdigitating, and the case needs to be opened. It's a collapse bite. And so that would not have been able to pass our pre-QC. And we would have asked for either a new bite registration or how much you wanted to open the VDO on that particular case. Same as the case on the right-hand side. You can see that it had a good bite registration, but I am not sure if that bite was properly aligned either, because if you notice up at the top, the posterior of those two arches are actually intersecting a little bit. So it's a combination of a collapse bite as well as not properly digitally aligned. So these cases would not go forward for any design work. And that not only saves you and us time for designing, but also for printing or other issues. We just need good information to go forward. This is a case where we have to discuss light wash impressions. And it's a problem whether or not it's digital or analog. We see it on both sides. So light wash is just that, not 17 millimeters worth of impression material that is going to open the VDO regardless if what indication that you decide to design the case in. In this particular case on the right side, the clinician asked us to close the bite by 15 millimeters. We can't do that. So it's just something fun to see, but it's real life, and we have to pre-QC and make sure that we work with our clinicians, our denturists, and our laboratories to make sure that we understand that light body or light wash is what we need. A good way to explain to our clinicians or to correct it is when we do have a bite that is severely open due to too much impression material, is to actually have the patient put both arches in simultaneously. Sometimes they get so much material in, like this particular case, I think it was opened by 60 millimeters or so. And the funny thing about that is that there's no way in real life that this client could probably have put both arches in simultaneously. So that'll give them some realization as to how to correct this problem, as well as how we can go forward. So success starts with quality scans and records. And that's one of the things that I love working with uh, our not only our clinicians, but also our laboratories when we see problems that come forward. As you recall, that case that had 18,000 artifacts on it. This is one of the iOS scanning techniques that is used with a intraoral non-metallic uh, uh, a retractor. And this company is by LaRousse. I think they're in France, but they have now a distributor here in the United States. And it's on our website, but it really helps not only to hold the soft tissue away from the arch with one hand, and the clinician can actually scan with the other, and it gives them sort of a pattern area to go. These are providing absolutely stunning uh, 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 iOS scans in which we can start working off of immediately. So technology goes forward, so does the availability of making our wax rim into a sort of like a souped up a custom tray wax rim and combination in all in one in the monoblocks. So when you do your iOS scan, get a good bite registration, we then can take this case and very effectively do a design on it. Uh, it's going to provide the clinician with the patient a vertical dimension that is going to see if that occlusion is correct. The anterior aesthetics is also going to be there. We're going to know if that lip support, midline, and most importantly, the borders. But it is basically a wax rim on steroids. And a lot of clinicians actually let their patients go home with them for a day or two, try them out. Then you're going to do a light body wash in there if there's any looseness. And the great thing about the light body wash is it sort of seals that deal with that monoblock. And the reason is when they do the iOS scan, your oral mucosa is going to be static and it's not compressed. So when you actually do the light body wash inside of this monoblock, it's going to give a mucocompressive uh, impression to the surface, and that's going to create that tension. And it actually, by the time we get the intaglio surfaces off of those monoblocks, it supersedes anything that we were able to do in the analog world for the fit, because now you don't have the shrinkage and all the other issues that you do with gypsum models and the stability of the materials. So the overall fit for digital dentures is very, very good, very tight. And we can also accommodate BPS or suction denture, functional impressions, any way that you would like to provide the final fit and final design work for the denture. We can work with it.
Great.
And then,
Thank you, Linda.
yep.
All right, so I'll kind of touch on our overall offering here. So just to touch base here, so it's an all-inclusive fee per arch. Each case comes with the different design guide codes that are available specific to that indication, led by our denture design team lead, which is experienced denturist, which we have here on our webinar today, Linda, also our CDT that leads the team from a design perspective. You get your complete 3shape design file with a series of screenshots for each case. So again, that gives you the option to download those if you want to share them, or any changes that you need to be made. That's perfect opportunity to review those. And then we keep the cases for 7 years in our cloud. So if there's ever a time where you need to get access to any files or the STLs, for example, we can always provide that for you. So the total cost for our retail for dentures is $50 per arch, and that's for all of our indications. And then we have $22 per arch on our copy dentures. Any other questions you guys have on this around pricing, we'd be happy to talk to you in a call or anything like that. I do want to, I know we're kind of running out of time, but I do want to take some time to answer some questions. We've got a lot of really good questions in here. So I'm going to go ahead and open up our Q&A and we'll go ahead and get started here. Okay, Linda, so I've got a few here. Maybe you can answer this one. How do you get the perfect bite registration?
That's a good question. So there's a couple ways that you can do it. First off, I like to use the original dentures if they have them. You can actually get use the denture, do a body wash inside of it, light, and then scan the two dentures together, and that gives a really great starting point, not only for the VDO, but also for your tooth placement and lip support. The second way is that if you haven't had the dentition, they have partial dentition still in. Before you ever do any immediate and do extractions, do an iOS scan or impressions, and that is going to also help you with your VDO and as well as what your bite plane of occlusion is on that. That is an excellent source, and it's a permanent those both can be used as permanent records for later on to help maintain those bite registrations. The last one would be is if you had a completely edentulous patient and they don't have any dentures, then I like to use the uh, it's an it's called an occlusal tray. It's a triple tray, and it's by Ivoclar. There's a couple of other ones that are out on the market, and you can um, use that as, and it's got putty in it. I always make sure that you have the patient sitting upright in a chair and not reclining back in an operatory to take the final bite registration, and then just have them do a couple of bites and get them where you think that they are most comfortable and has repeatable, and then use that. You can also attach a handheld Fox plane, and that really dials in your plane of occlusion as well as your video. There's a lot of other information that's out there, especially through Ivoclar, on obtaining good video and bite registrations. I hope
Great,
that
thank
helped.
you. I got another one here, Linda. What is the rate of reline immediately after production? Do we have any
Mm.
stats on that, or can we give
I
somewhat of
think
an answer around that?
I think the rate of reline is going to be dependent upon if it is a immediate denture and you've got resorption of the ridge, or if it is just a patient that's been a dentulous for a number of years. Those rates are very low. If it's a new patient that is a has multiple extractions, of course, those ridges will reabsorb. Some reabsorption rates are different depending upon men and women, and also sometimes due to health and other things. So it can be very fast, and sometimes it can be very slow. So it's very patient centric, but those relines can also be done either digitally, taking a new reline but keeping the entire denture, or you can do a soft reline as well until you basically know that you're kind of more stable on the resorption of the ridge. Hope that
All
helped.
right, great. Got quite a few questions on the retractors, the non-metallic retractors. Can
Oh, yeah.
you, what was the name of that again, Linda?
Let me look it up, and I can also get more information out. We have it on our uh, website, and I can pull it up while I'm answering another
Yeah,
question.
and if
So,
For those of you that have asked that question, you can always email Linda as well, and we can get you that information on the retractors.
It's a
Um,
company that 3shape we support. So it's
Perfect.
called a LaRusse, L-O-R-U-S-S-O, LaRusso, L-O, next word, R-U-S-S-O, retractors. And they have a couple of different types of sets that you can get. And they're I don't want to say that they're a little on the pricey side, but the great thing of it is that you can sterilize them. You can put them in your autoclave, and I've known of a couple of people who've had their sets and used them daily, and for a number of years. And so it's a game changer, and it's sort of one of those things you just have to bite the bullet and get. I, 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 I've only know this company, but I do know that there's some other companies that are out there. If you decide that you want to do something else, you can also use wooden tongue depressors. It's just a little bit more cumbersome, but make sure if you use anything with your fingers and hands, not to use a glove that is shiny. You want to use something that is not these new, really shiny gloves as well.
Perfect. And then I also got a question come in. Can we receive the presentation on email? So all of the webinars that we do, they will be available to you after. So as long as you registered for the webinar, you should get an email that will give you access to watch the webinar at a later time. So it takes a few days, but it should come over to you. If for some reason you don't see something come over, just reach out and we'll make sure we can get that over to you. We've got quite a few more questions here, so this is great. Let's see here. Do I have to own a 3shape design software in order to work with you guys? So no, you don't. We can definitely, if you have the opportunity to create the scans and send those over to us in the proper orientation with that with your bite and everything that's required, we can set up the order for you. It does come at a small additional charge for us to do that. And then we also want to make sure that we're set up for success as far as it relates to your manufacturing and materials. So it would really just be a conversation where we can get online with you and talk through your manufacturing process. And then from there, we can get some cases coming through to align on that. Let's see here. All right, this one might be a good one for you, Linda. I do the first bite wax rim after the sprayed wax rim, but always have problems with for the horizontal.
Hmm. I'm not, I'm, I hope I'm reading that correctly. I'm not sure. So you're doing a bite, a wax bite rim, and then the sprayed wax rim, but also have problems with or horizontal. Okay, so um, I'm guessing that you're thinking that it's the plane of occlusion. Um, I'm not sure. But I'll tell you what, Eric, if you email me and explain that just a little bit, I will be more than glad to help you problem solve and find out what we can do to help you. It's a good question. I'm just not sure exactly where your problem is.
Perfect. We got a question
And
in here around consistency and some challenges that they faced previously, and they're asking if we have dedicated designers. So I'll kind of touch on that a little bit. What we really strive to do is get all of our designers on the same level, and that's again where we really focus on that feedback. So if there's any issues or challenges around that, that's something that we'd be happy to get on a call with you and talk through those challenges because oftentimes it's just one simple quick conversation and then we can work with our design team lead to make sure you're set up for success with a designer that we're happy with. The other thing with that is that with those metrics, it really tells us based on, the designers that are managing your cases, who has good performance and who may be falling short. So we can oftentimes we'll shift designers around and bring in a designer that has good performance to manage those cases while we're working with any of the areas that we need to improve on with other designers.
Yeah, and
Let's see here.
Kaylin, can I interrupt you, Cole? Kaylin,
Yeah, go ahead.
if you decide, oh, please do send us a case. And then again, my name is Linda Baird, Linda Baird, Baird. There's a dot between it at 3shape.com. And I'm the denture specialist here. And if you would send any case, I think sometimes the consistency can also be caused from the design guide codes. And I will be glad to step you through some of the codes, make sure that we get everything correct. And then I will be glad to work with you and make sure that you are seeing consistency. That had been a problem in the past, but I think Cole will agree with me that that has dramatically decreased in the last year. And so we have worked diligently with our team and teaching denture fundamentals as well as making sure that we have consistency in all of our cases. So if you would, let me know when you would like to try out a case with us and also go through the codes. I'll be glad to work with you on that.
Perfect. We got another really good question here. So, which of the proposed products is being used most, milled or printed? That's a great question. We definitely see a huge variety in this. I don't know what our exact split is between milled versus printed, but
And
we
we really
definitely have.
don't know. And the reason is because most of our cases, we can send out CAM5 as well as STLs. We don't necessarily know if the finals are being milled or if they're being printed too.
Right. But I will say we definitely can support either one. And
Mhm.
if you have questions on which option you're, mostly interested in, or maybe you have a mill versus a printer and you're not sure which route to take, there's a lot of really good information on both our 3shape website and with some of the partners that we're working with as well. So
Can
yeah,
I
if you have
interject
any,
one thing on
yeah,
this,
of
Cole?
course.
Okay, so one thing that I was working at a conference just recently, about 2 weeks ago, and one of the things that a lot of new laboratories and new upcoming uh, clinicians are doing is they usually start off with a printer. And the reason is they can print their monoblocks as well as their first try-in dentures and then they get everything dialed in and then they can send through 3shape. They can also send the file through us or to one of our designated groups such as say argon and have the final milled from somebody else. And so there's a lot of I saw a lot of that as a basic. So you could do your printing at home. You could get your monoblock, your first one, and then when you knew like your immediate, you were going to a final denture, you could have that final denture then milled if you decided to go that direction.
Yeah, great questions, you guys. Anything else? I know we're a little over on time, but Linda and I are happy to stay if you guys have any other questions.
I have one
I do.
here. It
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Linda.
somebody wanted to know if you could design a case with a Gerber, Dr. Gerber. Dr. Gerber was a dentist a number of years ago, and he was very innovative in his designing with the candular teeth and the way that they were placed and put together for group function. And can we design Gerber cases with the Gerber technology or fundamentals? And yes, that is correct. We can. So we have that situated. So all you would have to do is you could actually put it in your instructions, your written instructions that you want the Gerber designs. Then you would also choose lingualized occlusion and you would probably want to put it with candular teeth, or you could do blue line teeth as well. And then make sure that you work with us on your 22.5-degree inclined design guide code, and you could get fully functional Gerber design dentures. Yes, correct.
Awesome. And then we had a couple people asking again about the recording. So yes, we will have the ability to you should get a link on this. So